still works. Good evening and welcome to the first meeting of the 2020 Olympia City Council. For the record, we have a quorum. All members are present, maybe not on the dais, but in the room. I hope you all had a nice break over the last few weeks. I know I did. As we start out the new year, I want to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous people of the Northwest on whose land our city resides. The land was ceded to the federal government in the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854. We specifically acknowledge the Squaxin people who are the traditional custodians of this land and pay respect to the elders past and present of the Squaxin Island tribe. We extend that respect to all other Native people present here today. I also want to acknowledge that tonight's meeting has a unique purpose and therefore an abbreviated agenda. We'll be swearing in our newly elected council members, then receiving a reading from our poet laureate, then taking a brief recess for a council reception here in Chambers. We'll then reconvene for our regular agenda, which includes a public comment period and approval of our consent calendar. With there being no further business before us tonight, we will not be carrying over an extended public comment period this evening. If you signed up on this sheet, I'm assuming that you read this agenda update at the sign-in area. So if you don't get called tonight, you have two options. You can leave your prepared comments with Kelly over here, or you can email them to us through the city website. Next week, we'll be back to our regular agenda format. Thank you for your understanding. Now I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So it takes us straight to item 2A, special recognition this evening. 4 years ago, it was my great honor to begin my term as Olympia's first directly elected female mayor. Last November, I was reelected, and I'm humbled to be serving the community I love for another 4 years. It's not an honor I take lightly. None of us sitting up here take our positions lightly. As well, none of us got here on our own. Many of you in this room played a critical role in making that happen. I want to thank you for your belief in us. But as well, it's important to recognize that not everyone in this room voted the same way. That's democracy. And last I heard, we still have one. But I want to promise everyone, regardless who won or who didn't, that council and staff will be working our hardest to put the common good of the entire community above any single issue. It's now time for our swearing-in ceremony, and I'll start that off, and I'm pleased to be administered my oath of office by Legislative District 22 Representative Lori Dolan. I'll be followed by Mayor Pro Tem Bateman and Councilmember Madrone, and they will be sworn in by Legislative District 22 Representative Beth Dolio. We're ready.
Please state your name.
I, Cheryl Selby,
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington
and
all local ordinances,
and
that I will faithfully and impartially
I didn't have my hand up. Did it count?
We
I
can
just
start
was,
over.
could you read that last one
I
again?
can, and that I will faithfully
And that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of Mayor of the City of Olympia according to the law and the best of my ability.
I, Jessica Bateman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
I, Jessica Bateman, that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and laws of the State of Washington, and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
That I will faithfully and
of the office of Olympia City
impartially
Council Member
discharge the duties
according
of
to
the office of Olympia City Council Member
and to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay.
I, Danny Madrone,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington
and the Constitution and the laws of the State of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge the duties of the office of Olympia City Council
perform and discharge the duties of the office of the Olympia City Council
according to the law and to the best of my abilities.
according to the law and to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, you're
And I would like to offer up time for Mayor Pro Tem Bateman to make some remarks, and then followed by Councilmember Madrone.
Thank you, Mayor Selby. Thank you, Representative Dolio and Representative Dolian, for being here tonight. And thank you, everyone, for all the friendly faces in the audience. It's such an exciting meeting for us. It's very ceremonial. This is an opportunity for us to welcome in our new colleague, Councilmember Danny Madrone, and for those of us that have returned. I'm excited and eager to continue this work on the Olympia City Council, and I'm extremely thankful to have been given the opportunity to serve another 4 years as a council member. It's truly a privilege to serve on this council, and I feel a tremendous gratitude for the community for your support. I'd also like to congratulate my colleagues. I'm looking forward to working with all of you and the full council in 2020 and beyond. And I'd also like to take the time to thank all of the candidates who stepped forward to run for public office. Our democracy, our representative democracy, depends upon the everyday people signing up to serve. And we are truly a stronger representative democracy for your efforts. Thank you for your courage and commitment to our community. This is a busy week for our city council. After a short break for the holiday, we're getting right back to work. Tomorrow we will have our annual meeting with our state legislators to review our legislative priorities and to get a preview for the legislative session. And then later this week, we'll be having our council retreat where we will identify our goals for 2020 and beyond. When I look around at the council that I'm serving with, I couldn't imagine a better set of colleagues to tackle these tough challenges and the opportunities that we have together. I'm really, really excited to work with you, and I'm confident that we can accomplish so much working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Madrone.
All right. It is an honor and a privilege to be elected to the Olympia City Council. I'm grateful to all the support that has brought me here, my friends and family, many of who are in this room right now, the mentors that I've had over the years, and the people that I've worked alongside in this community. Olympia faces an unknown future, from homelessness and housing affordability to the opioid epidemic and inadequate care for mental health, to climate change, and to troubling things that are happening at the federal government that will impact our city. But that doesn't mean that we can't work for a bright and shared future, a city that feels alive, and we all have pride in the place that we call home. People are housed and have access to the services they need, a decarbonized energy and transportation system, a reduction in our consumption, and a response to the conditions of a changing climate, and a community where, regardless what is happening across the nation and the world, we take care of each other. A lot of important decisions are made on this dais, and because the issues are complex, there is a lot that I do not know. I commit to being open to new information, moving through uncertainty, making the best decision that I can, learning from mistakes, and being willing to change course when things don't go as planned. Working towards this vision is going to take a lot of listening, learning, and clarity, both on my part and everybody who is showing up to be a part of that change. That's everybody on the dais up here and everybody in this room, and those who couldn't be here tonight. I will always assume that we show up because we love this city, and I hope you'll do the same for me. Despite the challenges before us, there's also plenty of opportunity. I'm excited to serve this city and looking forward to these 4 years.
Thank you, Councilmember Madrone. I like saying that. That's great. All right, so on to item 2B, which is a poetry reading from our City of Olympia Poet Laureate, Sadie Sparks, and I see our Arts Program Manager, Stephanie Johnson, at the podium to tee up what we're going to be listening to, and pretty exciting that we are one of the only cities, I think, the only city in Thurston County that has a Poet Laureate. So it's a big honor for her to be with us today. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Mayor Selby and members of council. Since the beginning of the Poet Laureate program in 2017, Olympia's Poet Laureate has been invited to read a poem at the first council meeting of each new year. This is Sadie Sparks' second poem at council, which also means that she's beginning her second and final year as Poet Laureate. Part of her responsibility this year will be to help recommend a successor for the next term. During her first year, Sadie has conducted 4 community workshops, read poems at several facility dedications for the Parks Department, participated in 6 community poetry readings, introduced the concept of instant poetry at Arts Walk, and recently the poetry pop-up at the Capitol Mall. All told, several hundred citizens have been presented with a poem created by a local regional poet, especially for them. This is a very powerful project, and I've personally seen people touched so deeply it's moved them to tears. And most recently, Sadie has hosted a New Year's poetry open house that was filled the entire 4 hours with poets of all ages playing poetry games, and creating community.
Hi, thank you, Mayor Selby and members of council, new and old. I'm Sadie Sparks. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I recognize a million of you, and it's so good to see familiar faces. I was asked to write a poem for this moment right now, and reflecting on the new year, I just thought, what can I give us? And so this poem is called Prophecy. Prophecy, winter. In dormancy, you illuminate an entire field, spit bulbs from your mouth to the soil, become daffodil between your ears. Prophecy, spring. You cartwheel into a garden, centipedes remember everything, legs above the bath again. Prophecy, summer. Your mouth is hot, sweet whispers, plums fall into your lap, honeysuckle asks where you went. Prophecy, autumn. Your hands fossilize what they touch, the alphabet again a crutch. All your burdens rhyme and dance. Turn the lights on. Thank you.
Thanks, Sadie, so much. I was a recipient of one of her poems this summer when I ran into her at the Harbor Days out on Percival Landing, and you had you had like a line up, and I couldn't get in quickly enough, so she wrote one on the slide for me. So it's still carried in my wallet. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. So now we're going to do a 15-minute break so that our council members can go down in the audience and thank their supporters, and we won't answer any questions, though. We're not going to solve any problems right now. We're just going to celebrate that we're up here in the new year, and then we'll come back and reconvene for a very brief rest of our meeting at 7:30. here. We're not going to open up additional public comment at the end of the meeting, but as I'm looking at this list, there's only 15 people showing up, are signed up. So if you can stick, can we do a 2-minute? If we do a 2-minute, we can get through everybody. And that way we can just get her done and you don't have to worry about coming back next week, or you can if you'd like to do that as well. So if I have council consensus on doing a 2-minute and we can get through everybody, okay. Not permanently, but certainly for this evening. So we'll do that. We have a 2-minute countdown clock. The podium's up here. I will also call out names 3 times, or 3 at a time, so that you can state yourselves and we can get through this quickly. So first I have Rhonda C. Morrison, followed by C.C. Coates, followed by Opie Taylor. Rhonda Morrison? Rhonda Morrison. All right, C.C. Coates, followed by Opie Taylor.
Hello, Olympia City Council and fellow citizens. My name's C.C. Coates. I'm a former union carpenter, and I'm now disabled. I spent 12 years trying to get on SSI, and now that I have disability, I have $250 a month to spend on rent. I'm not finding any housing. And for those who want to clean up the streets, that's great. But until there's access to housing, showers, bathrooms, garbage disposal, drug treatment for those who need it, I don't, medical care, all of the things that make our society safe, we're not going to have that. You know, the same criminal element that these housed people are so afraid of, I've got to live with. I'm not safe. Where's my safety? We're supposed to be a safe city. We need to figure out this housing affair. We need to figure out how to get just taxation, especially on the people who can most afford it, like those in the luxury condos that you, the taxpayers, are now subsidizing their rent because we're not charging them the same taxes that all of the other owning class or renters are getting charged. We have an incredibly wasteful government. I watched 2 guys spend 3 days to replace 1 bathroom door. When I was a carpenter, I got an hour and would do it by myself. And these guys were talking about vigilante violence to get rid of the homeless. That's not a solution. That's murder, and that's fascism. Rounding us up in camps is not a solution. And for that matter, neither are shelters. Shelters aren't permanent homes. Please get us homes.
Thank you. I've got Opie Taylor, followed by Nicole Mercier.
My name's Opie Taylor. I'm now president of the 4th Avenue Bridge. I've been fighting for this since the first time I stood up in front of you guys. We've been promised the help that y'all promised, and sometime between the last council meeting and this one, I guess the city council voted without letting everybody else know that we're no longer being helped. We're no longer being backed. Well, last time I checked the laws, that's against the law. You know, I came to underneath the bridge so I can help people. You know, I got people, well, I got a lot of people moved out of the bridge that were causing the issues that most of you have. Well, I've got people now up under that bridge that want to get off the narcotics. I have people that are just looking for an address so we can get back on our feet. I'm looking for a hand up and a handout and a step up. So are the people that I am helping. I had a leader before me was willing to help herself more than anything. Well, there's two types of people that need help. Or there's two types of people on a bridge. Those who throw themselves off the bridge and those that you fall off the bridge. I'm here to help those who fall off the bridge.
Thank you. I have Nicole Mercier. Just for a point of order, during public comment, we don't allow any kind of like clapping in support or boos against. That way it's a safe and respectful space for all views. So some of you haven't been here before, so that's kind of our basic overriding principle during public comment is that there's no outburst pro or con on someone's statement. Thank you. Nicole Mercier, followed by Mike O'Keefe.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I tailored this to 3 minutes, so I know it goes 2 minutes and 20 seconds as far as I can tell, so I hope that you'll let me say what I have to say. I am a member of the Fraternal Order of Eagles located at 4th and Plum Street. Our motto is people helping people. For many years, we have raised thousands of dollars for local charities, and that is our mission. I have been a member of the Board of Trustees for over 9 years. We have tried relentlessly to work with the city to protect our building and our members, but our efforts have not been heard. We are now begging for protection. We have been told that if we just keep an incident log of our calls to for police assistance, something will be done. But how long do we have to keep these logs, and when will the city start to pay attention? Here is what happened yesterday, a day no different than the rest. Shortly after our bar opened, a transient was reported ranting incoherently at our entrance. People were afraid to come inside, so we called dispatch police to have him removed. Next, one of our members was walking down the street, and they were attacked and bitten by a dog from one of the people, the guests of the Salvation Army. Then one of our members had to go out and clean up a pile of feces and a mountain of garbage and blankets left in front of our entry. Later that evening, during our board meeting, we started to smell smoke. We realized that it was coming from the back of the room. When one of our members tried to open the fire exit door, we found that some homeless people had set fire to our alcove. We called 911, asking the fire department and police to arrive. 2 fire trucks came and eventually extinguished the flames, but not until our entire clubroom was filled with toxic smoke smelling of burned plastic. The police never arrived, and when we called dispatch back, we were told that they were too busy elsewhere. According to the person I spoke to, the entire Olympia Police Department was responding to an incident on the west side, leaving the rest of the community unprotected. This fire could have easily gotten out of control had we not been alerted by the smell. The fire exit door from our clubroom and ballroom was completely blocked by burning debris. Nobody could have left the building from that exit, and this could have resulted in chaos and death. We have presented a plan that will work for us, but city officials such as Larry Merrill refuse to work with us.
I'm going to hold everybody to the 2 minutes that council agreed to. What you can do is submit this.
Who will be held accountable if someone
dies? Thank you. Mike O'Keefe, followed by Lisa Gelati, followed by Sharon Kuntz.
Greetings. My name is Michael O'Keefe. I come here as a citizen as well as a member of the Fraternal Order of Eagles. I've served on the Board of Trustees for 7 years. What I have here is a newspaper article I found interesting, and so I'd share it with you. It's very brief. This is the actual newspaper article. It's 116 years old. And it reads, General Booth knows the homeless classes thoroughly and has worked with them faithfully as a man ever did. He says in plain words that society has created the homeless classes. How? By free lodging houses and soup houses, answers General Booth. Tramps are created by emotional humanitarians, he stated, adding every time one gives a dime to a professional beggar, he encourages professional begging and vagrancy. It is time to put the responsibility on the so-called indigent class where at least part of it belongs, on the tramps and beggars themselves. The moment sloppy settlements refuse to give to a tramp, he'll have to work or steal. If he steals, he will eventually get caught. A man's heart and purse should always be open, but he owes it to society in every case to bestow aid worthily. For those of you who do not know who General William Booth is, he was the founder of the Salvation Army.
Thank you. Lisa Gelati, followed by Sharon Kuntz, followed by Jerry Durker.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for your time today. The first thing I want to say is thank you for all being here. And I'd like you to take a second to look around the people around the room. We are all humans, all of us, and we're in this together. And I just want to start with that because I founded Build a Bus Home last year, and we are working on hygiene. We've got a shower trailer. We're ready to go. And we're very excited. And I just want to welcome people that don't know about what we're doing. And we're here. We've recently come up with our new vision, which is helping humans meet basic needs. And that's everyone. If someone needs a shower because they don't wake up in a home, you need a shower, just like the rest of us. Everybody needs hygiene, and we're here to give that. And we want your support. We want your love. We want you to come and help out. Come and check us out. Watch us, help us. And we want to bring humanity and people back together and bring all services to people that need it. Instead of going elsewhere, we want to bring all the services to the people with our entourage of hygiene and help and love. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Kuntz, Jerry Durker, followed by Kathy File.
Good evening. Sharon Kuntz, Friends of Rocky Prairie. I was here at your last meeting, and I spoke of the threat of huge industrialization near Miller Sylvania State Park in South County. You seemed inclined, as you spoke at the end of the meeting, to have a study or work session on the issue. So I just want you all to know that I'm happy to come with facts and figures and history and any information you might want to answer any questions or clarify any issues. If anyone wants to reach me, please go to our website, Friends of Rocky Prairie. You can do it at .org or .com. There's a phone number there. There's emails. Both of those work. And our petition to the commissioners can be signed there, too. Time is an issue, but it's also a bit of a mystery right now. We're not sure when the county commissioners will make a decision as to whether or not to docket this issue. We hope soon, and so we also hope soon that you'll weigh in as soon as possible. If it's impossible to do so as a group because of time constraints, I'd encourage each of you to let the county commissioners know your feelings individually. I hope you can do it as a group, however. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jerry Durker, followed by Kathy File, followed by Camille, and the initial N.
Hi, my name is Jerry Durker. I live at 2826 Cooper Point Road, Northwest, Olympia, Washington, 98502. Come here tonight to tell you, apparently you guys bought a piece of property on November 22nd that's in between, it's on 28th Avenue Northwest, and I have to tell you that the next door neighbor had tried to get the county to bust Mr. Sundberg for dumping stuff on that piece of property, so there's a lot of nasty material on that piece of property. So that's one. Two, I have to tell you also that there seems to have been a clerical error made by the county tax assessor's office on the annexation of the area between 20th and 28th Avenue and east of Cooper Point, mostly. There's a little piece down on the west there that includes that Sundberg site. Apparently, there was actually only 54.1% on when the election was done in 2005 and stuff, instead of 60, more than at least or not less than 60%. Apparently, someone made a clerical error and didn't remove the not out of that. So when you made your ordinance, you based it upon that decision, but sorry, that's decision. It was null and void because that's an administrative thing and stuff, and that requires what's called, it's ultra vires. You haven't got authority to do those kinds of things when the assessor has messed up like this. So I just wanted to let you know that we've just discovered that. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Kathy File, followed by Camille, followed by... Okay, thank you. Camille N, followed by Orion Canning.
Thanks. I wanted to come today in this new year to bring some of my thoughts. I wanted to strongly support the 4th Avenue Bridge Camp and make sure that all of you know that there's going to be a lot of opposition in the community to any attempts to go back on your word and sweep that camp or any other camps, especially in the winter right now where it's pouring rain and extremely cold. And I'm also urging all of you to consider, especially the new people who are on the council, actions that you can take to address this problem, and thinking outside of piecemeal reforms, but thinking about rent control at a bare minimum, rent control for the entire city, and building large amounts of affordable housing, expanding tiny house villages throughout the city, and expanding social services in general. I don't think that this process of sweeping one camp after another is going to do anything. You're just moving people around. It's not going to solve anything. And if you truly want to use your money wisely, you should be investing for the long term in building a whole bunch more units. If you don't, you're just going to be waking up 20 years from now and seeing that nothing has changed. It's the exact same problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Orion Canning, followed by Meg Martin, followed by Bruce Pulford.
Hello. I'm here to support the 4th Ave camp and to say that I don't think you should ever sweep homeless camps because it doesn't solve the problem. It just moves them around, and it costs a lot of money to cause people a lot more pain, actually, and just push it out of view. We got a whole industry in this country for exploiting and profiting off of a basic need, shelter. It's the housing industry. And I think that's the source of a lot of the problems. There's a lot of laws written basically by developers and landlords that create a situation that suits their interests. It helps them profit off of people's rent. It helps them evict people more easily. We don't have very good tenant rights here in Washington, and I think better rights for that would help create more affordable housing for people would help a lot. Rights that would help people not get evicted as easily would help a lot. If when people don't have housing, it makes sense that they're going to build their own shelter, right? That's why we have camps. If the only solution we can think of is to send armed people to use the threat of force to kick them out and destroy their property, that's kind of a sad situation if that's the best we can come up with. I think we can do a lot better than that.
Thank you. Meg Martin, followed by Bruce Pulford.
Hello, my name is Meg Martin. I walk in a lot of worlds in Olympia, as does the organization I'm the executive director for, Interfaith Works. I have the great privilege, although to be really honest, it doesn't always feel that way, to work with people every day who don't agree with me or see things from a different angle than I do. This has helped me better understand where people are coming from, challenge my own assumptions and biases, and further hone in on what my core values are and how I can commit to the best of my ability to living my core values in every interaction I have with people, regardless of their circumstances. Many of you here tonight have agreed with me over the years, and many of you haven't. All of you have challenged me and our organization to learn and grow, and for that, I'm really grateful. Tonight, I want to talk about kindness, no matter who you are or where you're coming from. These are excerpts from a poem by Naomi Shihab Nye. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore, only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is you I have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. Congratulations, and I look forward to working with you all in the new year.
Thank you. Bruce Pulford, followed by Bob Jacobs, followed by Sharon Taubel.
Hello, my name is Bruce Pulford, and I'm honored to be here. I'm a member of the Homeless Coalition for the United States of America, and I have been an activist for 45 years. We, in Cincinnati, we made a movie called The Public, and we called it The Public because all libraries are called the Public Library. Emilio Estefan was the producer. And I didn't even know I was going to speak today. I signed something because I thought that's what you did. I'm pleasured that I got called to speak. I'm like, how does this work, you know? Sometimes you don't know how you got there. You were just supposed to be there. And I progressed a tent village type thing 20 years ago with the United States government because of the economy. If we don't have the monetary system throughout the world is a joke. And ask any economist, he has no clue. Germany has more tea, sells tea, but no tea is grown in Germany. And here in the United States, if people can't afford to live, they can't afford to live. I've been on the affordable housing for 5 years. I'm 65 years of age and I'm homeless. I sleep in my car or my van. My van was taken the other day, but that's another issue. My issue here is affordable housing for all, not just for homeless people. And that's it. I got 28 seconds, 27, 20, you know. But anyways, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad to speak to you. Have a wonderful life.
Thank you. Bob Jacobs, followed by Sharon Taubel.
Good evening. I will read quickly. I'm here to talk about House Bill 1923 and specifically to ask you to use your influence with our legislative delegation to get the no appeals provisions of that bill repealed. I've been troubled by these provisions since I first heard of them for several reasons. First, home ownership is the largest investment that most people make. It is also the main way most people accumulate some wealth for their retirement. Homeowners need a reasonable amount of predictability and a chance to defend their investments from sudden changes in factors like neighborhood density. That's what the GMA is supposed to give them. Second, citizens need the ability to defend the environment. For instance, when development is allowed without proper stormwater management, this thwarts all of the efforts that are going on to improve the health of streams in Puget Sound and the salmon and the orcas that depend on them. Third, on a much more global level, prohibitions against appeals are inconsistent with democracy itself. A basic feature of democracy is the right to challenge governmental actions. Rights to appeal inappropriate actions appear throughout our laws. We have special protections for whistleblowers. Even members of the military have such protections. To take away appeal rights is undemocratic. It moves us in the direction of authoritarianism. There may be certainly room to streamline appeals processes, and legislators are now working on that. But the interests protected by the Growth Management Act and the State Environmental Policy Act are vital to current and future residents. Please help reinstate the appeal rights that were reduced by HB 1923 earlier this year. And as usual, thank you very much, and please know that I would be glad to discuss this or any other city policy issue with any of you or staff at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker that signed up is Sharon Taubel.
I didn't expect to actually get to the podium. I'm here tonight with the change in office holders and such, but also some stories I've been hearing about shift in policy and double standards. And I want to see this council act with some integrity, not turn away from people that are disagreed with or looked down on, because every one of you and every one of us is created equal. And not one of you is better than anybody else. And how dare you look down at someone for their station or their circumstances. I'm pretty much a Quaker at heart, and I struggle with extending the same kindness to people that treat me poorly or treat others poorly, as if you're better than because you have property or money or education or any myriad of things. And I'm asking you to act with integrity and treat people equal. Thanks.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment period. Oh, sorry.
I was attacked.
Okay.
Almost run over in a crosswalk.
You
Trying to get back here.
All right. So I will give you your 2 minutes. Do you want to start the clock again? All right. So Rhonda Morrison.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have 2 minutes, and we'll complete public comment.
It's supposed to be 3.
I called your name. It's 2 minutes, and if it's going to start here pretty soon, you might as well.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Thank you, Cece. Really, I was punched in the throat, kicked in the uterus, and then nearly run over in a crosswalk. That's why I'm late. I don't need the microphone. I lost my voice over a week ago. I have lived in the mitigation site from the day it was opened in the same slot. I've been in sleep mode. I come out, look around the city, and I'm as disgusted as everybody else is. I live out there. I'm not safe anywhere in this city. I look somebody in the eyes that I've never met before, and they spew their most traumatic experience ever in my face. I have to literally have music blasting in my ears to keep people from screaming everything at me. I have to run all over this city constantly. Look at this. You should see my feet. But I can keep going. When I relax, I stop breathing. I'm afraid to really go to sleep. I got 15 minutes in the corner of a bathroom last night. I spent most of the night in a bathtub to try to heal myself. Pharmaceuticals kill more people than street drugs. I've been forced on drugs since I was 10 years old. I have a right to be safe. Yet, anywhere that is supposed to be safe, I'm the one person that's not allowed there. I'm not allowed on the bus for 90 days because my Tigger failed to pick me up, and the one supervisor that hates me decided to stand over me and scream. She calls this 3 minutes of hate. I originally was going to come thank everybody, but you know how long I was sitting out front with everybody walking by not caring? One, I'm out of time. Screw you guys.
Thank you.
Get out of here.
Thank you.
'Cause I'm sick of this shit.
So we are now on to this time on our public comment period where there can be comments from the dais. Do we have any remarks or response? Council Mayor Pro Tem Bateman. Followed by Councilmember Gilman.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone coming tonight, and thank you for the comments from the public. I just want to clarify a couple things and then add a couple comments. First, there has been no secret council meeting that has occurred in the last couple weeks. We have been on a council vacation. Therefore, we have not voted secretly. It would be illegal to do so, and we have not done that. Second, we have created a suite of comprehensive policies and supports to address homelessness built on integrity. For the gentleman that recommended that we institute rent control, that is a statewide issue which has come before the legislature. Last year there was a bill to address rent control, and I'm sure that there will be one again this year. Nicole Macri was the sponsor of that. She works for the Downtown Emergency Services Center. And also, I think it's really important for us to remember we're not going to create any one solution to address homelessness. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create, like I said before, a comprehensive suite of policies and supports within our capacity as a local government. When I started 4 years ago, we literally had no resources whatsoever. We've exponentially increased the amount of services, supports, infrastructure that we have provided for those in our unhoused community more than any other city of our size in the state of Washington. We're the only city in South King County that has a permanent affordable housing measure. Our very first project will be moving forward next year. We also have our Boulevard Road project, which is going out for an RFQ for affordable housing. We've also worked to make zoning changes to allow for smaller and more dense infill development to hopefully make housing more affordable in our community. We've also hosted our own tiny house village. Not only that, we put aside $100,000 so our faith partners in the community can build their own tiny houses. And we just had our first tiny house village start with one of our faith-based community members. We've also advocated at the state level, as you'll see with our state legislative priorities, which we'll be meeting with our legislators tomorrow, to increase their supports for not only affordable housing, homelessness, shelter, and behavioral health supports, including capital projects to create more facilities in our communities. We are doing a tremendous amount. We still need to do more. I just want to make sure that we all are starting from the same place and we know what we have done and the work that we have yet to do, and I'm looking forward to doing that work with you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilman, followed by Councilmember Parsley.
Thank you, Mayor Selby. So we are still in the middle of both this shift that's happened over 2 years to begin engaging in a different way around human services, affordable housing, homelessness, and we're almost at the culmination of a series of 20-some meetings last year and a citizen group that worked really hard through a year to develop long-range proposals for how we continue to address these issues. So stay with us. Those are continuing on. This is the beginning of my 5th year here. I've learned a lot here. I've done other sort of policy jobs, but I have to say in these issues, it's really my grandma's voice that I hear more than anything I learned in a class. She said, if somebody comes and tells you they're hungry, just assume they're hungry. If somebody says they're cold, they're cold. If somebody says they're scared, they're scared. We do a lot of judging and complicating all of that, but I think that's the simplest response. I'm hoping that staff will follow up with the Eagles because I take exception with the statement from General Booth, but I also recognize that those are really difficult situations that were described, and we have resources available for trying to lessen those frictions on the street and create a safer place. So I want to see those engaged. And then I want to appreciate first Meg Martin's words about kindness. I think that needs to be at the center. And then also several speakers spoke about systemic and structural changes that have to happen. And really at the city level, this is more like battlefield first aid rather than deciding whether or not to have a war. That here we've got people experiencing the challenges, We're divided ourselves about what's the right way to intervene or not intervene, but it's all uphill from here, the people who are deciding about economic inequality and access to housing and access to health care. So I know, at least for me, I'll continue to advocate for those more fair policies while also doing what we can at the city level to take care of the immediate needs of our neighbors and friends. So thank you for coming out. Stay with us this year. It's going to be a good year.
Thank you. Councilmember Parsley, followed by Councilmember Rollins.
Thank you. I'm struck every time that I sit through a public comment period by the emotion and the passion, and I think the unifying emotion is how much everyone in this room loves Olympia. I heard a couple very important comments. Lisa, when you said face this with love, we're all people, I absolutely 100% agree. And Meg, you're right, kindness. And I love the poem because we learn about human frailty when our own nose is in the carpet, not because we see somebody else's nose in the carpet. And when we stand back up again, we get to recognize what it's like to have the feet knocked out from under you. And when you see somebody else's feet get knocked out from under you, that's the moment you can show kindness. That's the moment you can show compassion because you actually understand what that means. And so as we face this year and we all make our intentions or resolutions, I've decided intentions because resolutions, if you fail at it, you quit. Intentions are you're going to act better through the year and maybe not perfectly. So as we make our intentions here and we face the next year and a half of our declared emergency and listening to the list of all the things that Mayor Pro Tem said that we have done and all the different avenues, we have a long ways to go. And I think this council is ready to take up the challenge. We've said repeatedly, housing. We'll say it again, housing and housing. We need to start looking for solutions and helping each other and be constructive. It's okay to yell at each other now and then. That's what happens. But at some point, we have to look at each other with kindness and with love. Happy New Year's.
Thank you. Councilmember Rollins, followed by Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I've been sitting with what I've heard here, as well as conversations out in the lobby before the meeting, conversations and chants outside of City Hall, the larger conversation going on in other venues in the community, and just individual conversations I've had today leading up to tonight, anticipating it was going to be a big meeting. And the resonant phrase that I heard earlier today from someone who's a friend and a mentor was, we're in a new now. And so I want to offer that. It's a new now. I'm here in large part because of proximity I have to the issues that our community is facing related to homelessness and the people. And while I don't want to speak for people, I do feel a responsibility to reflect out what I hear and what I'm hearing from the people at the center of impact of all these crises is that we're a part of this community. We might be too poor to live in regular housing with 4 walls, and we have nowhere else to go except these informal outdoor communities. We're capable of incredible things. We're doing incredible things. We're capable of even more. Yes, our community is impacted by the opioid crisis, just like every neighborhood, just like every city. And that sucks. And there are unique challenges when opioid and substances intersect with poverty and homelessness. Unique challenges, unique impacts that ripple out. But what I'm hearing is, please help us. Please don't hurt us. Please help us work on this problem in the way that it shows up in our community. And so how do we do this? how do we know what's helpful and what's harmful? Well, we all want to help, right? We don't want to hurt people, because if we're harming people, that harm just ripples out and hits everybody else eventually. I mean, that's what we're living through. And that's history. So we want to help. So how do we know what helps, what solves the problems? You go find out. Go meet people. Go ask people. Because each individual is so unique. Everyone's circumstances are unique. Everyone's strengths and gifts and hopes and needs are so individual. And I just want to say, as someone who's a spiritual person and a person of faith, I believe every life is valuable. Every life is sacred. And that's why the outreach and relationship-based and harm reduction programs are so powerful. That's why they're so effective. That's why there's volumes of data and evidence showing how effective they are. It works. And so what does that mean? To me, what I'm struck with is this paradox that the people that, so there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of fear in all corners. The people that are closest in proximity to the problems tend to be also the most optimistic about the solutions. If you're just driving by, I understand, it looks like a mess, but if you lean in, if you have, and I know we don't all have the time, but if you do have the time, find out a way to get involved on mutual terms with the people at the center of impact. It changed my life. It changed my understanding. So that would be my wish for 2020, that we all lean in. And if we don't have the time, or if it's too triggering to be involved, at least don't put down the people that are doing the work. It's a really great community. I'm really excited to be here with all of you and with my colleagues, and I'm so encouraged for 2020. So let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Selby. Two quick things. First of all, to Sharon and the Friends of Rocky Prairie, I spoke with our interim city manager early this evening, and he's committed to bringing the conversation to agenda setting on Tuesday to figure out when is a good time in our schedule in the next couple of weeks to bring a resolution forward opposing that project. And then also, I just want to thank Meg Martin for coming tonight. Congratulations on being appointed the new Executive Director of Interfaith Works. That's a huge accomplishment, and you so deserve it. And thank you for reminding us to engage with kindness tonight. I think that anyone that's had any opportunity to see you work in this community knows that you could be approaching it in a vastly different way than you are. And your ability to lead with kindness and bring grace to this conversation is an example for all of us, and a form of engagement that I aspire to be just like. And so I just want to challenge everyone to lean in, as Councilmember Rollins said, and think about that fact that, I mean, you mentioned this, that we're here because we love Olympia. Every single person that was in this room tonight, and you can feel that energy. And if we can take just a second and put aside our fear and our anger and our uncertainty, we can come together as a community and continue to find solutions. This, we're not doing it perfect, but we've stepped to the plate and we're doing a lot. We're doing, as has been said, I won't belabor it. There's a lot more we can do, and we're going to need significant relief from the state and federal government if we're ever going to end what I believe is the biggest crisis that has faced our city ever. Like the recession, the Great Depression, some of our past and current race and equity issues, none of them compared to this monumental size of this housing and homelessness crisis that we're living in. Now, I will say the race and equity issues are underlying in that entire conversation as well. But we have to all I think as I'm reflecting over my short break in the holidays, the world's unraveling around us. And there's a war starting while we're sitting here. And if we can't figure out how to show the rest of the world how human beings engage and get shit done, then we might as well all go home. And so I just ask you, think again before you come and holler and yell and show your fear and show your anger, and lead a little bit with kindness. Everybody that has something to say here has a reality that they're saying, and we all need to hear that, and we need to respect that, and we need to work together to find solutions. So not meant to be a waving of the finger, but I'm hopeful that in 2020 we can find a way to show what I believe is Olympia's best quality, is that when we need help and we have problems, we come together and we fix them. Thank you.
Thank you. We're all good? All right. I need a motion to approve tonight's consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or polls? Anybody gone? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That completes our regularly scheduled agenda items. For council reports, all I have is that council will be meeting for our annual retreat this Friday and Saturday in the Lot Boardroom. If you are not doing anything else this weekend and you want to hang out with us, you're welcome to attend. Those are open public meetings. I have no other report. Any questions? All right, I'll go to my left, Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Selby. Just one quick report. So as you know, sorry, my page location was lost. So as you know, I've been participating with our neighboring cities, Lacey and Tumwater, and the county in the development and creation of a regional housing council. And we had a significant retreat in December where we all agreed on a mission, a vision, and some top priorities for the RHC, Regional Housing Council. And we'll be coming together at our next meeting in February to really start looking at components of an interlocal agreement to set that off. But I wanted to read the mission and one of the two visions. They're very, very similar, and we have some wordsmithing to do. But I think that these reflect the tone and the values that we've brought to this conversation, and I'm really excited to see at least from a starting point, to see agreement from the other partners. So the vision of the Regional Housing Council is that all Thurston County residents have equitable access to safe and affordable housing, period. And our mission is to work and advocate collaboratively to develop and implement projects, programs, and policies by leveraging regional resources. We did this great brainstorm of all of the different priorities or focus areas that we would like to see. And as you can imagine, we voted with our dots, and we narrowed down to a top 5, which is increasing shelter and affordable housing, implementing the 5-year Thurston County Homeless Crisis Response Plan, sharing policies and consistency across jurisdictions, such as tenant protections, seeking additional public and private monies, and engaging with the community in a robust communications process to tell the story of what we're doing. Now, there's other things that we want to do, and they'll kind of be woven in. But when we bring an interlocal agreement back to this council, I'm hoping in the next couple of months, it will reflect those words and that level of work plan. And I'm just really excited to see everybody agreeing on that starting point. And I want to give a huge shout out to Mark Daly, the CEO of the Thurston Regional Planning Council, who volunteered and facilitated us to that outcome in, I can't remember, Councilman Rollins, like maybe 3 hours or 4 hours, very significant and quick. And so thank you, Mark, and TRPC for loaning that. The committee also has asked that I continue serving as the chair and that Council Member Cox from Lacey serve as the vice chair of the committee until we create our interlocal agreement and we move into a more formal election of officers and bylaws and some of that will come in the near future. So it was exciting, and it was a good way to start off the holidays knowing how bad things are, and I really hope that now that committee will be able to get its legal stuff done and put its money where its mouth is.
Thank you for all your efforts in that regard. Any questions for Councilmember Cooper? Councilmember Parsley.
Is that document too much of a draft to share with your council mates?
I'll forward you. It's just the notes from the retreat. So I'll
Okay.
forward it to all of you so you can see that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Parsley, do you have a report?
I have nothing to report.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Bateman.
Thank you. I just have one item to report. Our home fund manager, Carrie Retlin, and I were able to attend a meeting with Department of Commerce staff to review homeless services proposed for this legislative session. As some of you might know, the governor has proposed an unprecedented $300 million investment in homelessness, housing, shelter to address this huge public crisis that we have. To get that funding, they will have to tap the rainy day fund, so that will be a challenge to overcome this legislative session, which we could use advocacy for some of our conservative members that are opposed to increasing or decreasing that fund. The governor's budget includes $15.4 million for an additional 1,000 permanent supportive housing units. This would go to our highest need chronically homeless individuals, so like permanent supportive housing, which is a real priority for us. If that does get funded, there would be an RFP process across the state, most likely, with counties that would be selected. This is all to be determined, but if that was the case, we would want to make sure that our county is well positioned to be able to demonstrate that we have service providers, we have housing projects that meet the criteria with permanent supportive housing. So that's something that we definitely want to keep plugged in. So that would require us talking with the county about that to make sure. And then also, we anticipate there might be some multifamily tax exemption changes coming this legislative session. So we want to watch for that. There might be changes to the requirements, but most of those items are dealt with at the state level. We have limited flexibility in what we can tweak with the multifamily tax exemption, but there could be some changes to that. So that's all I have to report. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions from Mayor Pro Tem Bateman?
Can I just add on the multifamily tax exemption? In my day job, I'm working on this campaign. It actually would be to fund it for the first time in Washington State. So it's been created. It's the state version of the earned income tax credit, and it's been created for more than 5 years and never been funded in our state. And so it's time for that to happen, and we should all be leaning on the legislature. It's one of the very few bipartisan tax policies that can help low-income families. And I hope that our legislature will decide to be bipartisan like Congress was when they made the earned income tax credit expansions permanent.
Thank you. Councilmember Parsley.
Just a quick question, and I suspect this might be policy and format. There's going to be no opportunity in the $300 million for cities to independently apply for that, or is it only going to be channeled through the counties?
Of the $300 million investment from Governor Inslee's budget, I think 2/3 is, I would be speaking out of turn if I know, $4 million, I think I don't know what the proportion is that goes towards all the different things, but that portion just refers to, because it's a $300 million investment and it's only 17 million for the permanent supportive housing. That would be for local governments and counties, which would be dispersed through the counties. There's a much larger pot of money, and I don't have the details of all of what that additional 300 million goes towards, but I'm assuming contracts, services, temporary shelter.
Money for operations, which is very, very important. Right. Are you good? All right. Councilmember Gilman.
Thank you. Land Use and Environment met on December 19th after our last December meeting, and a couple of high-level things. One is I was really excited to hear the staff proposals for staffing long-range planning and continuing to work on the affordable housing initiatives that we have proposed, having more people power behind those things. So the rethinking the staffing is very exciting. And then SmartGov is an online portal that we launched a little over a year ago for building permits and for all of the back and forth during a construction project. We're now up to 87% of our permits are using this online portal, which is a great efficiency both on the contractor side and on the city side. And more than that, we've integrated a satisfaction survey and an opportunity to get real-time input on snags in the permitting process or process improvements that are possible. So that's an element that's been added to our proposed work plan for next year, is to talk about each of the teams within community planning and development have some suggestions about process improvements that we might help as policymakers to see through. So I'm excited about that. And then I just have to very briefly report on intercity transit. Zero fare, hop on, hop off, ride wherever you want to go. There's more faces on the buses right now, so come join us on the bus.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Councilmember Gilman? Councilmember Madrone.
In regards to intercity transit, could you briefly talk about like how they're going to measure the impact of zero fare? Is there like a quick, like are they going to look at ridership over a period of time? And
yes, it's a 5-year pilot project. The experience of transit systems in general about expanding routes or increasing frequency is that they usually measure it at about 2 years in to see, it takes some time for behaviors to change and patterns to change. So we don't necessarily expect this quarter to have a dramatic increase in ridership. We have seen over a period of time, like a couple of years, other cities like Corvallis, who instituted zero fare, having a dramatic increase in ridership. And then at the end of this next year, we'll see the financial difference of not having to spend the time processing the payments and collecting those quarters. So, yeah.
All right. Councilmember Rollins.
Thank you. Nothing to report.
Councilmember Madrone. I'm on the committee. Yes. You'll have, you can talk about other things. All right. City Manager, what report do we have tonight?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to report.
All right. With no further business before the Olympia City Council, we're adjourned.